So in this final video on proof, we're going to take a look at using some definitions to help us prove different statements. And of course, in math, we clearly define what we mean very explicitly. These are our axioms that we usually base lots of our maths on, right? Okay, so just for example, right, we could be using rational numbers. That'll be one of our first examples. All right, a rational number is a fraction. It's something that can be written as a fraction where the numerator and denominator are integers. So we could be proving that we're getting a rational number. We could be proving using some basic statement that we assume to be true. Okay, right, let's jump straight in and get on with it then. Look, so first of all, we're going to prove that the reoccurring decimal 0.13, now what does this mean? Belongs to, and that means the set of all rational numbers, right? Okay, rational numbers. Okay, so let's see if we can figure out how to do this. Well, what that means is we've just got to be able to write 0.13 reoccurring as a fraction. So I have done this a few times. Let's see if we can do this one. Right, let's say that this value, 0.13 reoccurring, and you could have the line or you could have the two dots, okay, is x. So what I really mean by that, and just to make this absolutely explicit, is it is this, and it goes on forever and ever and ever. Well, if that's the case, then I guess, well, 100x is going to be that, but moved two spaces to the left. So 13.131313 like this. Yeah, we're going to be moving them up two spaces on the place value system. Well, okay, well, if that's true, then logic holds that 99x is going to be the 100x, take away the x. Well, what that's going to do is going to clear out all of that reoccurring stuff. So that's just going to be 13. So that means now I could divide through by 99 and I could write my x as 13 over 99. Well, that's a fraction. That is a rational number. We can say for sure that x belongs to the rational numbers, and of course x is 0.13 reoccurring, so that belongs to the rational numbers, and there's a nice little proof there. Okay, so that's a nice simple example. Let's move it up a level and see if we can have a go at something a little bit more advanced. So in this one, we're going to prove that the sum of any two rational numbers is also a rational number. Okay, well, we've got to start defining things. That's the point of this video. So, okay, let's say let x and y be rational. Those are going to be our starting points, right? Okay, well, that means then that I could write x as a fraction. Let's call it p over q. And let's say y is the fraction r over s. But if we're doing that, we need to be really careful. We need to say p, q, r, and s all belong to the integers. Otherwise, it's not a fraction. You can't have decimals in there. And this is, again, what I'm talking about by defining things really carefully. We also can't have those denominators equal to 0. That won't make a good fraction, will it? So we can say q is not equal to 0. And s is not equal to 0. 0 itself is a rational number, so you could have p and r being 0. Let's leave that though for now and move forward. Okay, so let's think about the sum now of two rational numbers. Well, x plus y is going to be equivalent to p over q plus r over s. Well, we can add that together, can't we, by keeping the denominator the same. So we'll times the left-hand side by s on the top and the bottom. And we'll times the right-hand side by q on the top and the bottom, like that. Okay, so now they've got the same denominator. And now we can bring them together. So we can say ps plus qr all over qs is an equivalent expression. Well, so what are we going to do from here? Well, we're pretty much there, aren't we? We can see that our original two rational numbers are going to come together to make another rational number. But why is that? Well, that's because ps plus qr is an integer. If ps, q, and r are integers, then ps plus qr is going to be an integer, right? And is an integer. Let's call it capital P. We can also say that qs is a non-zero integer. Because remember, we defined earlier Q and S not to be 0, so that's not going to be 0 either. Let's call that Q. So that means that our original x plus y, which was equal to PS plus QR over QS, is actually equal to P over Q, and so therefore, by definition, x plus y is rational. Okay, hopefully that made sense. That's how you would write out that kind of proof there. Let's move on. We've got to do a challenging one, right? Okay, it's got to be tough for us. Otherwise, well, you don't need these videos at all. Right, let's look at this one. Okay, so prove that the infinite geometric series, and there it is, belongs to the integers, right? Okay, the integers. So what we've got to show that that thing actually works out to be a whole number value. Okay, how are we going to do this then? Right, so first of all, it is a geometric series. So that means that we can, and it's infinite, it's going on forever. So let's work out what u1 and r is, right? So u1 is obviously 4 minus root 2. And what are we multiplying that by to get each subsequent term? Well, I can see, can you see it there? Look, we are multiplying it by 1 over 3 minus root 2. Now, I think that's going to be complicated to work with. So at this stage, I'm just going to try to convert that using the conjugate to be a sort of nicer version of the same number. So I'll multiply it by 3 plus root 2 on the numerator and the denominator. So what will that come out as? Well, on the top, clearly 1 times 3 plus root 2 is 3 plus root 2. On the denominator, we're going to end up with 9 minus 2, so a 7, right? So that is going to be our U1. There, look, is our R. Now, next thing. Well, we know we can sum a geometric series if R is between 1 and minus 1. That magnitude of R is less than 1. Okay, it means that the sum is going to be achievable. Is that the case? Yes, it is, right? Okay, absolutely right. 3 plus root 2 is not as big as 7. So that fraction for R there, look, that is 100% going to be a fractional amount that is less than 1. So we've got that going on. That's good. So that means we can use this formula. The sum to infinity is equal to U1 over 1 minus R. Right, so let's see if we can put our values of U1 and R into that, and hopefully we'll come out with a whole number. And if we do, we've done this, haven't we? We've proven that this will sum to an integer. So let's do that. Right, so we're going to have U is going to be equal to, so 4 minus root 2 divided by, now 1 minus R. Now I'm going to write the 1 as 7 over 7 to save myself some thinking time and space, minus 3 plus root 2 over 7. There's my R. Look, I'm writing it like that. Maybe we should put some brackets around this, right? Okay, so that I can then write, well, we'll have 7 minus 3, which is 4, minus a root 2 all over 7. Right, okay, from there we can rewrite that. An equivalent expression will be 4 minus root 2 multiplied by 7 over 4 minus root 2. And if it helps you to do the coming multiplication, we could write a divide by 1 there, so you can clearly see it's the numerators times together and the denominators times together. Right, from that point, this is going to be 28 minus 7 root 2 all over 4 minus root 2. Okay, now then, what is this going to be? Well, I can see that numerator, we could take a factor of 7 out, couldn't we? Right, we can take a factor of 7 out. So that will be 7 bracket 4 minus root 2 all over 4 minus root 2. This is looking good because we can cancel those. Now we've written that as a multiplication on the numerator. So therefore this is equal to 7. And you never guess what? 7 is an integer. So we have done it, right? We have proven that that sums to an integer value. In fact, we proved it exactly. It sums to 7. Okay, hopefully this video has helped you and given you some more ideas for your proof. I'll let you get on with